Most people think local AI is just throwing prompts at an API. They're wrong. It requires thinking and structured workflows. And this single workflow, this one tool, is going to take my raw script and give me something that looks more like it came out of something from OpenAI's research team, rather than my scrappy little 8GB VRAM setup. So in this episode, we're going to have a look at agent flows in AnythingLLM and clarify some things from my last couple of videos on this topic. Let's get started. So I'm continuing down the rabbit hole of seeing whether at home locally run AI, local language models, is any good. Last week we had a quick look at AnythingLLM. But before we get going this week, I just wanted to clarify something. So I got a comment on my last video, which is here right now, talking about a bit of confusion. And the week before I was talking about OpenWebUI, then I said let's ditch that and go with AnythingLLM. I didn't clarify why that was the case. Thought that might make the video drag a little, but I think actually some of the people who are watching these videos might be more interested in the reasons why I switched those two. So the way I originally had it set up before was I had OpenWebUI, I had Llama running in the background of Llama, and I also had search. I'm going to call it searching. I'm guessing what that's supposed to be, SEER-XNG. And this is the way a lot of things are set up. Now, I think if you are running a larger model with more parameters, you have a better experience. However, in this scenario, we're running in a VRAM constrained environment where we have 8GB of VRAM to work with, which means we can only really run something like a 4 or 7 billion parameter model, depending on a whole bunch of different stuff. We need to leave a little bit of overhead for other, all the different queries and other stuff we're doing. So we're limited. And when using searching and when using OpenWebUI and using Llama with Gemma 4, no matter what I did, these different services just couldn't seem to talk to each other. Now, there are some people who used a service called Crawl for AI, which is an LLM-friendly web crawler and scraper is what it describes it as, and I got that to sort of work, but again, when it was feeding the results back in, I think it was having some difficulties with the similarity settings, which is, I think it's a similarity of kind of the information it's got back from the scrape versus the query, and what should it actually use to then enrich it wasn't working very well at all. I spent about 4 days in the evenings after work troubleshooting this, and the reason why we ditched that and went with AnythingLLM, although let's just say you could run these side by side, right? Because you're using Llama as like the LLM host, and you're just connecting these services to that. So you could run them both side by side. You don't have to completely nuke everything. Although I have done now. Well, I've commented them out of the Docker Compose. I could bring them back at any time if I wanted to. But the reason we went through to AnythingLLM is by default. In fact, let's just go into the settings here. So let's just go back into the settings and to the agent skills. You can see here there is a bunch of different skills that you get by default. The ability to scrape websites and do web search is a capability that is built into the tool, which means you don't have to bolt on extra services. And with your web search as well, you can choose your service. So you can choose DuckDuckGo. You can actually potentially, searching. So if you have that searching application and you want to use that instead of something, you can plug that in. So this week, I think, I wanted to clarify why I've ditched OpenWebUI for the moment, and I'm going with AnythingLLM. If I do get myself, and this isn't major, if I do decide to buy what I'm looking at right now is something like a 16 gig VRAM, is it a 4060? Yeah, there's a 16 gigabyte 4060 Ti, which you can get from places like CEX for under £300. Quite expensive for a little hobby, so I'm not going to do that right this minute, but 16 gig of VRAM would give a lot more capabilities in terms of the models, and then I might try OpenWebUI again, see if I can get it to correctly sort of parse it with a more advanced model. But for the time being, we're on AnythingLLM. And what I want to talk about this episode is the agent flows and my brief experience with them, showing that it can take this relatively simple model and then actually provide some useful information. So first things first, when I was originally using this, I've set up this YouTube Manager workspace, which has a more detailed system prompt, which is specifically targeting feedback around take a script from a YouTube video, provide some example titles that you might want to use, provide an example from a description, and give some keywords. Now, it's okay, but it's not very good. It's just one query. It also gets the timestamps wrong. There's a whole bunch of problems. And
It's enough to sort of give me a bit of something to think about, but it isn't something for me to particularly trust it very well. So what I've been playing around with is the agent flow. So for example, if I go to the agent skills here, and I'll just zoom in, there's a bunch of agent skills, right? These are the skills we looked at before, where you can enable scraping websites and stuff. You can enable, disable all this stuff, right? But what you can also do is you can create agent flows. So there's two here where I've got YouTube script workflow and YouTube topic research and script planner. That second one doesn't work very well, it's a work in progress, but the first one actually is not that bad. So for example, I said use the YouTube script workflow and assess the attached scripts, and it was from last week's video. So if we expand here what the agent flow has actually done, it's broken the request down into multiple steps. So these are steps that we've configured in the agent flow, which we'll look at in a minute. And the goal is to translate this to a human readable action coaching critique for the video creator. So what weak sections there are, what improvements we can make, what to keep, and review it, and then provide the final polish in the output. So it calls me out for my weak conclusion at the end, which is correct. I sort of wandered off the topic quite a bit towards the very end of the video. It's saying that I need to be better at quicker at getting to the point, which is fair. It's also pointing out that I'm focusing right now on the cost and the pivot away from services which are limiting the amount that we can use them based on tokens and cost and all that sort of stuff. Whereas actually I should have also pointed out some of the other reasons why you should be doing this, which we can get into. I think that's probably a separate video. This is me talking about my experience about using these products. I mean, if you're here watching this, you might already be thinking about this anyway. You know, it's things about privacy, processing the stuff on your own device. You might want to sort of anonymize it. If you do have a part of your query that goes out to, you could connect this to ChatGPT's chat completions API, whatever. But you're processing most of the data, you know, on your own device. That's good. Yeah. So yeah, it does make a point. It's highlighted that there's more stakes that could be added here. It's telling me to shoot more B-roll and other stuff, but this is like a podcast style episode. This is supposed to be me just chatting with the camera while the dog's dead on the floor here. He's had a long day, so he's not interested in getting involved. Although, with the right motivation, he can be convinced to join in the episode. Yeah, Cupboard Love, I believe it's called. So I wanted to put a comment on the video, so I thought I'd ask it to create one for me. And I mentioned that in the comment on the video, actually. I said that the LLM made it. And this was one of the better things I've seen the local AI one make. This is more like the sort of thing Perplexity would come out with. But long story short, this agent flow does seem to be giving me much better results than just querying it normally. The difficulty is you need to set up the flow in such a way that you might be more limited, whereas some of these other bigger enterprise models, perhaps they do this by default. So let's just very quickly have a look, shall we, at this, how this is set up. So agent flow, so I've got two of them here. So YouTube script workflow, let's have a look at it. Let's edit the flow. So I've kept it fairly straightforward, right? So this is for me to be able to paste a YouTube script in, because when you're a small channel, you don't get a lot of feedback really on a lot of these topics. So it's good to get something to give you an idea of, like, maybe I messed up, maybe I didn't. What could I do differently next time? And then try and learn from it. The YouTube script workflow, and it's just YouTube scripts evaluation. I kept it simple. Flow variables, there's the script text, the quality score, the parsed components, a metadata package, and feedback notes. So the first in scripture is you have the script parsed for YouTube workflow. You take the script text and extract it into a structured JSON with different sections. So it's going to parse the text we give it, and there's some stuff here about them trying not to imagine stuff and don't make stuff up or hallucinate, blah. It returns it as a parsed component. Then we've got the script quality evaluated. So we take the parsed component and rate each section from 1 to 5, and then produce an overall score number, a strengths and a weaknesses list, and a revision priority. And then the next one, YouTube packaging generator, you take these two things and get some title options, descriptions, so on and so forth. And then the feedback assistant, so you take all of those and write revision notes based on these different sections. And then the feedback assistant takes these and creates human readable response for the creator, and then this is the direct output basically. So now potentially I need to actually at some point go back and just double check to make sure all of these different outputs are, potentially this section should also have feedback notes in here as well. that might be a mistake because feedback notes isn't listed here. Feedback notes are listed right there. Yeah, so we probably do need to change this to, just to make sure. Yeah, we changed that slightly, so let's give it a save. So, okay, so let's try it here on this, right? So this is, I'm working on a video right now and I'm kind of struggling just a little bit. What I'm struggling with is it's a macro trip into a woodland forest. So it's probably not going to get much engagement. So I've got a lack of motivation, but also I've got a lot of problems with scripts. So we're going to say, take this raw YouTube transcript, which is yet to be edited together, and provide your feedback notes per the agent flow. I don't know if it'll understand the agent flow, but let's just click the tools again. So it's got the context file, sure. The agent skills active are the YouTube script workflow. So let's send it and let's watch it go. So I guess I'll talk while this goes on. So this YouTube video is, I'm going into the woods and I've brought my camera, I've left the dog at home. I'm trying to look for fungus, take a picture of it, and along the way I take some pictures of, you know, some woodland scenes, and it's quite, oh, that was really quick. We're now into the situation where I can't scroll. I'm wondering if it even used, can we expand this down? So let's just click on this other one here. Oh, maybe we need to specifically state use YouTube script workflow and assess the attached script. Maybe we need to do that. So let's try it one more time. That was suspiciously fast. I don't think that span up multiple, you know, we'll literally just say use YouTube script workflow and assess the attached script. And what I said in one of the previous videos was, with these more basic LLMs, you do need to sort of babysit exactly what you say to them in the prompts, which is why the agent flow, when it works, is good, because you've got it broken down. You can kind of control what it goes off and does rather than just imagining what you want doing. So what's it doing? Well, it's using 16. Well, you're getting a real view of what this is like to use. Potentially, do we want to go back to the, here we go, maybe we go to the full llama. Okay, now we see the full 2 containers of what they're doing. It's definitely thinking a little bit more, isn't it, this time around? So while this processes, you know, when you drop in the comments, what are you using as your home LLM? Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, it's agent flow execution started. There we go. Executing LLM instruction blocks, sending it. Yes, here we go. It's sent the script and it's executing the different sections of the thing. Excellent. It's actually working. So while this does its thing, you know, what hardware are you running this on now? Are you being sensible and running it on your desktop computer with modern hardware, or are you trying to get it to run as a service on a Docker or in a machine somewhere where you can, for example, I can VPN back into my home network while I'm out of the house, query my setup here with my, if I set up some different flows, the things I want to do, perhaps I can use it, you know, wherever I am in the country or the world at any point in time. Or are you preferred to just, okay, we just use it when you're at your main desktop PC with your desktop hardware. Maybe you've got a 3090, 4090, 5090, you know, what do you want, what sort of hardware are you running it on? This is probably a fool's errand trying to get this to work, but if it can be partially useful, then it might make sense to, let's say I do upgrade my GPU in a few years. Well, I've got a 4090 on my main desktop rig that I could move into this eventually, but I'm going to keep that 4090 in my main PC for as long as possible. So maybe I do spend a small amount of money, get a 4060 Ti 16GB, pop that in. All of a sudden I can run Mistral, a few other different LLMs at a larger parameter thing. I'll have a lot more processing power. So we started this at 46 minutes past, it's now 50. So it's been running for about 4 minutes thereabouts. So it does take its time, but if it's worth, you know, if you have more control over it and it provides a higher quality output, maybe it's worth it, especially if you are on the privacy front and you want to give, oh, here we go, it's just absolutely dumped it out. So, oh, here we go, there's another thought here. The user wants me to convert the highly structured JSON feedback, which is excellent content, thank you very much, into a clean, human-readable report following specific formatting rules. So the script has strong foundational ideas and great potential, but it currently struggles with narrative tension and pacing. Correct, it's raw footage, it's not been edited in the slightest. The biggest risk is viewer disengagement before the payoff because the crisis isn't established urgently enough. While there isn't really this is the problem. YouTube videos require crisis. I'm being a little maybe too honest that there isn't really crisis, is there, in me walking around the woods. The main problem of opposition is stated to generally need a specific source of tension, not just an abstract difficulty. Yeah, so this is a lot more targeted and specific and better than the original sort of quite vague, no one is specific enough. But yeah, so that's just a quick example of this agent flow tool in AnythingLLM. You can actually browse and get additional tools from the community section in AnythingLLM. You can publish your own things you make as well. But I think for me, this has been just a quick explainer of my previous setup and an example of one of the reasons why I've moved to AnythingLLM over OpenWebUI. It's built-in web search, it's built-in scraping abilities, it's built-in agent flow. One package does everything you need to do without having to configure multiple services. For a simple setup, it's definitely the way to go. But let me know, what do you think? Is it controversial? Is OpenWebUI really the place we should be going instead? Let me know, interested to hear your comments. Interested to hear your thoughts in the comments, let me know. But that's been me for this week, another episode of this. If there's interest, and if I find more interesting things, we'll continue this next week. Either way, see you in the next video. Cheers.